Feliz Navidad. Ha, ha, get it? Okay. I know that people say that if you stick to a habit for 21 days, you will automatically have that habit. Honestly, most of the time we don't. I know that I don't with that mindset. So how do we set goals for the upcoming year that we actually keep? Well, first off, part of it is a why can't I versus how can I mentality. But the most important thing is really going back to dreaming. Back when we were children, we used to dream so much more and we encouraged a lot more creativity. But then as we grow up, we kind of lose that. But it's important to dream, especially because with the why can't I versus how can I, you want to have a why because then the how will reveal itself. It's the difference between being closed-minded and open-minded. We dream, but we tend to encounter failure as a test for our dreams. It's all about mindset. And I have an app on my phone called the Motivation app that I really love and appreciate because of all of the different affirmations and motivational quotes that it has. But there's one that I have here. New beginnings require a new mindset. Get your mind right so you don't fall back into the old patterns. And that's why I say in my last video, who you are determines what you do, or what built up the version of you right now. It built up the quality of life that you're experiencing right now. For a lot of the things that I'm talking about in my last video and this one, I really wholeheartedly recommend Atomic Habits. It's the best book I have ever written for self-help. And I plan on rereading through the different highlights and notes that I made, but it's such a monumentally important book, especially for really defining what you want in life and how to really break down the steps towards fulfilling what your dream life is. But for this annual reflection, let's just go ahead and have a little bit of accountability together. So first off, let's define your values. What do you value? So I'll go ahead and put a list of values up here on the screen, but I really want to challenge you. Maybe think of some values that aren't listed on here. Use a thesaurus and find things that are maybe a little similar. And then after you come up with a list of values, narrow it down to 5. And those will be the core that you'll keep in mind for the year. Then go ahead and narrow it down to 3, 2, and then 1. This shows how much you prioritize certain values. And those are really important to really think about whenever you're setting your goals. Something else too, I mentioned dreams earlier. Go ahead and dreamstorm. Hey, this is Editor Libby here, and I realized I completely left out something really important, and it's doing a dream journal. So this is my dream journal right here, and I started off with this journal and then I moved to Google Sheets, but I think it's also just a different feeling to initially just dump everything, do a brain dump on paper, you know, a nice old-fashioned way of going about it, but it really does help stimulate the mind a little bit more. And then of course I put everything into Google Sheets and organize them, but of course that's just me. Maybe you just want to stick with a dream journal, but I think it's really important to have some sort of a dream journal. And you know, you can categorize it and you can list things, all that kind of stuff. Now, in the book Dream Machine, of course, there are different categories and I do have them in my Google Sheets, but with my dream journal, I have things like travel, where I want to go. What do I want my living situation to look like? What kind of car do I want? What do I want my personal fitness level to look like? And instead of just focusing on, all right, I want to lose this many pounds, what's easier is, okay, maybe you want to focus on flexibility. Maybe you want to focus on cardio or strength. So you can add that to your weight loss goal, because at the end of the day, it all relates to each other and it helps each other out. And then there could be like, okay, I want my target yearly earnings to be this. This is how much I want my retirement fund to be. And so those can be dreams as well. You can have, these are the relationships I want to improve, or you know, I kind of miss this person. I want to reach back out to them. List out the different languages you want to learn. Have you always wanted to play an instrument? Well, you can now. Are you interested in writing a book? If you can meet any living person, who would it be? And you can list those people out. But now you can meet these people, of course. But it's also good to keep in mind, what makes you like them? And similarly, you can do the same thing as, okay, if I could meet a historic person, who would I meet? What fears do I want to conquer? What do I want to be remembered for? What's my legacy? Now this is a really fun one that I got from my friend Mike Abramowitz. If I had $10,000, what would I buy? And I'm not saying like splurge all like Mr. Beast like here. I mean like, okay, sure, think of the materialistic things that you want to buy. But also too, what charities do you want to donate to? Who do you want to travel with? What other dreams do you have? Do you have dreams for career, academia, business? What other dreams do you have? Do you want to have a family? What does that look like? Are you someone who really wants to get married? What does your dream wedding look like? There are so many different things that you could dream about. Pull things from your own bucket list. And if you don't have one, then, you know, maybe you can list some things, but there are ways to actually do what you've always wanted to do. You just have to plan it. And that's what we'll talk about in this video. Whoa. Looks like I can teleport, huh? Anyway, so I just went ahead and pulled out my Dream Machine book, and he actually simplifies it with the different categories. He has travel, adventure, material, financial/career, family/relationships, health, creativity/skills, faith and spirituality, legacy. So it's kind of similar, but I like to be very detail oriented. But regardless too, yeah, faith and spirituality is the one that I was, I guess, missing. What do you want your journey to look like in terms of that? But regardless, really ask yourself these questions. Have fun with it. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's kind of like what Walt Disney said. If you could dream it, you can do it. So there are so many different examples of dreams, and I have a personal dream of mine this upcoming year that I'm really excited about. So if you don't know, one of my 10 million things I do is teach Chinese kids English online, and I'm hoping to meet one of them this year, so I'm really excited. And regardless, I'll go ahead and put you guys back in the video. So let's go ahead and review the past year. Something that I did was review photos on my phone, and I added all of those photos into an album itself. And it made me realize, wow, I thought I barely did anything this past year, but there's a lot more that I accomplished. There were a lot of memories I almost forgot about. And then the next thing, if you use a planner or calendar of any sort, go back through that. You also might have missed some other details. And if you journal, revisit everything you've written down. All of the feelings, all of the memories, and then also think about, what were my goals last year? Did I accomplish them? Did I do anything? Was I able to overcome obstacles? Those are different questions that you can ask yourself, because the more specific, the better. What were the positives? So when you're looking through the photos, looking through your calendars or journals, whatever, how are you feeling? What are the positives? Did you grow? And if you can't think of anything positive from this past year, then what are you currently learning right now? Keep it in the positive. And then what are the challenges, or as I like to rephrase, the areas of improvement or areas of opportunity? And then through these challenges, how did you grow from there? And think about it in the different areas of your life that I'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. Are there any habits or traits that I'd like to continue working on? Are there any limiting beliefs? The more details, the better. Something that I realized was I was never doing an annual reflection until December of 2021. And I realized, wow, I was never really specific on myself. No wonder I wasn't improving. No wonder I wasn't growing to be a better person. No wonder I wasn't growing to be a better version of myself. Now there's so many different versions of annual reflections that you can find online, and a lot of them may have different questions. But I felt like these questions that I mentioned were the most common ones and the most important. But for more in-depth questions, you can attend other seminars that I'll talk about a little bit later. But there are also a couple of books. So my friend Mike Abramowitz has written 2 books. One of them is Grab Tomorrow, Your Best Year Ever. And the second one is Grab Your Thoughts. And they're both really good. They ask questions about yourself. And I know that Grab Your Thoughts, you can journal right in there. These are 2 small books. So, I mean, I highly recommend, especially when you're really trying to learn a little bit more about yourself. Because at the end of the day, I believe that we're still constantly learning more about ourselves and what we want. Another book that's really good for really exploring your identity of who are you, like who do you want to be, and a little bit more about your vision and purpose statements. I highly recommend the book, The Joy of Missing Out. Funny story, actually. I first got that book because I thought it was a really good introvert book because I'm an introvert. It may not seem like it to everyone, but I am. But then I read a little bit about it and then I was like, okay, you know, it looks like an interesting book. Why not? But seriously, it's such a good book. I'm not finished with it, but I highly recommend just based off of what I've already read. At the end of the day, who do you need to be to get what you want? Now let me ask you guys, who wants change? Yeah, right? Now let me ask you guys, who wants to change? I don't think that purpose should be one linear thing. It's not, this is your sole purpose. And I mean, hey, maybe for some people it might be, but I think that purpose sometimes it can evolve. That definitely happened for me, and I'm sure it might happen for some people that you know as well. Now this year I'm actually trying something new, and I found this best year ever journal, or best year journal. And I really like it because it has a ton of questions, but it also explores your goals, the reason why, and a lot of other things. There are some things I like and then some things I don't like, but I mean, overall, I personally really love this journal though. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a very detail-oriented person as well, so the more questions, the better for me. And they have different reflections. You can put your goals and you also put in the why. And there's a lot of journaling prompts as well. And then something I really like is it's kind of revisiting what I was talking about with the why can't I versus how can I. There is an example plan on here that I really like, that you choose a focus area, you put the goal that you have, your why, and then what are the supporting tasks. But then there are also some resources, there's a timeline, there's a reward. So of course everyone's motivated in different ways, but I think that this is just such a useful tool that a lot of people could really use. And then they also have weekly and monthly reviews if you want to use those. But this right here is from Intelligent Change, and they have a lot of other different journals and stuff, but I'm obsessed with this one. And if you're someone who wants to journal in the mornings, by the way, he also has a 5-minute journal. It's available as a physical journal or an app. But it's nice if you're someone who wants to get right to the point, if you're someone who is in a hurry maybe. But at the end of the day, it's going back to the gratitude. And then what does a level 10 life look like? In the book, The Miracle Morning, they talk a lot more about this, but there's a wheel of different categories of your life. What does a level 10 in each category look like? And you can redefine a lot of the categories, but some of the categories are spirituality, significant other, friends or family, health and fitness, physical environment, finances, business/career, education/personal growth, fun and recreation, contribution and giving. And since I mentioned that you can substitute any of these categories, like for example, I'm not dating anyone, at least at the time of this recording. So I focus on self-love. Do I love myself? How can I take care of myself? How can I prioritize self-care into my daily life? And this is something that's really good to reflect on in general, every month, every year. But it's also good if you don't have any idea of what goals you have in your life. Once you evaluate, okay, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 on each category of your life? What are the lowest ones? What does a level 10 look like? And okay, how can we bridge that gap? So that's one way to dreamstorm. Another way to dreamstorm is through reading a book called Dream Machine by Dane Espegard. And oh my gosh, I love this book. So if you've read Dream Manager, it's basically like a book that implements the lessons from there, but I really like it. It doesn't matter if you own a business or not. Highly recommend. It's like my second favorite book next to Atomic Habits. But in the book, they list a lot of different categories of dreams, and I highly recommend that you also do the same as well. I have a spreadsheet with all of these dreams, the dates of when I accomplished them, and if I have a photo, I put it in there as well. And there are so many more dreams that I just keep adding on, and I've realized what he says is correct. The more dreams you accomplish, the more energized you are, the more fulfilled you are. It gets so exciting to really fulfill your dreams. When we grow up, we hear a lot about dreaming and, oh,
you could achieve everything if you just believe in it. And
when we grow up, it sounds kind of corny, right? But really, it's so true. All of these lessons are so true. These are things that we forget to really embody in adulthood because we just think,
oh, that's just a fantasy.
I challenge you to try these though. You might be surprised. And there are ways to break things down as well. And even if you need an accountability partner, get one. I mean, there's so many different ways to really fulfill your dreams. So once you've done your dream storming, then go ahead and narrow them down and pick ones that really align with your goals and priorities for the year. And then after you choose your goals, dreams, whatever you want to do, figure out the why. If you don't have the why, then...
Oh, that's nice. That could be cool.
But the why will help the how reveal itself. Now, what I recommend is narrowing down to 5 goals, focus 5, maybe 6. And you could do the different categories, like I said, with the Wheel of Life. But generally speaking, usually you want like a personal goal, a health goal, financial, career goal, relationship maybe. Those are the typical ones that you might see, but really you just want anything that really aligns with you and what you want for the year. And then out of these 5, what's the number 1 priority? Because I actually went to a seminar like 1 or 2 days ago with Hal Elrod, and he said to choose 1, and you make that more of your mission. As you're achieving that 1, it'll pour onto the other ones. And that was really interesting because I was always focusing on 5. But if you focus on 1, and then yes, it'll kind of trickle a little bit. There are still like action steps that you can take for the other goals. But I thought that that was an interesting way of really going about it, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like the values. You want to narrow down to 1 and you see what's your number 1 priority. And as you're writing down your goals, go ahead and figure out, okay, how can I make them SMART goals? And then you can go ahead and make the time as the end of the year, but we're gonna have some different checkpoints. So like for example, I wanna read 50 books by the end of the year. It's kind of an ambitious goal, but you know what? I am here for it. So I wanna read at least maybe 4 to 5 books each month. Who knows, maybe I'll surpass my goal, maybe I'll go a little bit below. Regardless, I got to that number because I broke it down. So you can break it down, all right, so you have your yearly goal, break it down to halfway. So half of 50 is 25. And then you can do quarterly. I mean, it just really depends on what you're doing. Depends if you're doing more business stuff or just regular personal goals. But then you want to go ahead and put it into monthly goals. And then after that, weekly, and then daily. And that's where you have your tiny actions daily, as my friend Mike Abramowitz says. And the reason why you want to go all the way to the daily goals from this yearly goal, it just makes it a lot more attainable and more realistic, especially for you logically people out there. But the most important part is you want to make a plan and stick with it. Something I heard recently is that a goal without a plan is just a wish. So what I highly recommend is having some sort of a planner. Now, you can use digital planners, and I've used them before, but I don't fully rely on all of them because while it's great to have a notification and have it as a backup, I like to use my physical planners. And the 2 planners I really recommend are the At a Glance planners and the Passion planners. And the reason why is because they both have increments of time. Now, the At a Glance planner has 15-minute increments that I really do like. But what I love about Passion Planner, I'm totally not biased or sponsored, is that even though it has 30-minute increments, there are a lot of things for journaling, figuring out what you prioritize for the week, for the month, etc. And there are also a lot of other things for goals and planning, and a lot of extra pages on the back that I'm going to show you a little bit of. So this was my planner last year, and I have a new one for this year. Aren't they so pretty? Look at them. They're so pretty. And by the way, if you want to have the 15-minute increments, but you also want to have a planner just like the Passion Planner, then consider going to my link, libbyrodriguez.me, and you go to the store area. If you go ahead and put in the code GOALS, then it is absolutely for free. But right there, you can add 15-minute increments to your planner. And yes, is it tedious? Absolutely. But if you do it in the beginning of the year, it's really not that bad. You don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. But what's nice is that in this planner, they do have monthly reflections to see, okay, was I spending my time correctly? Was I satisfied, I should say? What are the biggest lessons I had each month? How am I different? What am I grateful for during this month? But of course, in the back of the book, I have a little index. I made a little bullet journal style thing, and I can show you in a future video, but I'm not someone who I'm not great at drawing. Like, the only drawing that I've ever really learned how to do is costume design, and it took me a while to do that. But other than that, yeah, no, I'm not the greatest at drawing. So, and it's really time consuming if you really think about it. There are a lot of really cool videos you can see on YouTube that I think they're fun to watch, but realistically speaking, I was a little overwhelmed. I never got into bullet journaling, even though I thought it was so cool. But there are a lot of inserts on the Passion Planner website and elsewhere that can help you with tracking and other things like that. But the most important thing is that you're tracking somehow. So I have a lot of my tracking in the back of my Passion Planner, in the little bullet journal area that I made. I have a few apps that also do tracking, but also too, some of the small tasks that you have for your yearly goals. How can you make it easier? How can you lessen the tension? With your planner, go ahead and put in all of your personal dates and then your more professional dates. All of the important things that you know for the upcoming year, you want to put them down. Put all the birthdays, appointments, conferences, everything. If you are in school, then go ahead and put all of your academic dates down. But yeah, I love how in the Passion Planner you have the monthly reflections, and you also have yearly reflections and quarterly reflections. It's a lot of really good stuff in there. And that's also where you can put all of your bills. You can put like, all right, I'm going to read 5 books this month. I'm going to read a financial book. I'm going to read a spiritual book. I'm going to read a self-help book, etc. And then you can also put monthly/quarterly check-ins, but you want to make sure that you put them as protected appointments with yourself. And that's something that I know is an area of opportunity and improvement with me, but it's so important. And then with all of the different tasks that you have, especially for the different goals that you have, what are things that you can automate, delegate, and systemize? Mike Abramowitz has a company called Better Than Rich, and he has a lot of services regarding that, but also he has a lot of workshops, masterminds, or whatever that really go and talk about, okay, how much are you worth per hour? And what can you do to free up a little bit of your time? Zapier is a great tool. Not sponsored. Zapier is great because, like, let's say you set up an appointment with someone on Zoom. It automatically sends them an email, an invite, whatever. There's a lot of things you can automate with Zapier. It's actually pretty cool. But at the end of the day, regardless of what you do with your planners, with your goals, all that kind of stuff, start now. Start in December. Start way before January 1st. The reason is you want to build momentum now and go through the adversities now. Something else too, keep writing your goals. Put it everywhere so then you can really see them and embody them. Keep them always top of mind. And something else, share them. When I wrote my book, I kept procrastinating. I was also being the stereotypical perfectionist, and I was like, oh, there's some things to add. No, it's not good. Oh, but there's so much more I can add. I just gotta add, I gotta edit, I gotta add, I gotta edit. I just kept going on and on and on. And I gave myself a deadline, and I didn't market myself well with the book because of that. But I wanted to make sure that I actually finished my book and I published it. That was my goal. It didn't matter if I sold 1 copy, 100 copies, 1,000 copies, it didn't matter. I wanted to make sure that I finished and I got it out there. So I told everyone I knew, hey, I'm writing a book and I'm launching it on this day. It's going to be on Amazon. It sounded crazy because I did not feel like I was finished. But it gave myself a deadline, and I honored my deadline. So share your goals with everyone. In a way, it gives you a little bit of extra accountability too. But speaking of accountability, there are a lot of workshops, in addition to this video, where you can go ahead and plan your goals, and people go about it in different ways, of course, so you can see how different people do things. Like, I just got done doing Hal Elrod's annual review because he launched his new book, The New Miracle Morning, which is officially out now. Highly recommend you get it. It's really good. In my opinion, yes, there's the book and there's a lot of good nuggets there, but the routine is fire. It is so good. It really changed my life in the sense of how intentional you can be with your day. And also, The Miracle Morning is the reason why I've read 29 books this year. And you know what? There's still some time left in this year. Let's see how far I can go. Some of the other workshops that are happening are Ali Abdal's productivity workshop. If you pre-order his new book that's coming out, then you are automatically invited to this, and it'll take place in January. And then Tony Robbins, I didn't realize that his inner circle had a little mastermind annual review like yesterday, so I might have accidentally missed that, but it's okay. I've been attending a lot of workshops, but regardless though, Tony Robbins always has a free one also in January that anyone can attend, and it's usually on YouTube. Passion Planner has their own annual review, and in my opinion it's a little simpler, but it goes with the actual planner that they have, and you can also follow along with the free printables that they have online. But there are a lot of different resources. But let me know, what is your one thing? What is your top mission or goal? And optionally, what's your why? So I want to go ahead and wish everyone a great rest of their year, and I will see you guys next year.